Nexo Knights is a standout series in the LEGO franchise, blending futuristic technology with classic medieval fantasy to create a world like no other. With 4 great seasons, the show is packed with epic battles, intriguing lore, and memorable character arcs. Today, we're diving into the world of Nexo Knights, uncovering the rise of Jestro, the secrets of the Book of Monsters, and the journey of the Nexo Knights as they defend their kingdom. In the first episode, in the kingdom of Knighton, a world where technology and magic coexist, we're introduced to our heroic knights. The young and skilled Clay Morrington stands out as a natural leader, joined by his colorful team, Lance Richmond, Aaron Fox, Axel, and Macy Halbert. The story begins in the royal palace. Under the rule of King and Queen Halbert, the kingdom enjoys peace and prosperity. However, a former court jester named Jestro, filled with frustration and loneliness, is lured to the dark side. At the same time, a sinister artifact known as the Book of Monsters manipulates Jestro, turning him into his pawn. With the Book of Monsters' power, Jestro summons an army of terrifying creatures and sets out to plunge the kingdom of Knighton into chaos. The Knights, guided by Merlok 2.0, a digital wizard, take on the mission to defend their homeland. Merlok 2.0 provides the Knights with Nexo powers, powerful digital spells to help them gain the upper hand against their foes. In the next episode, when Jestro awakens, he's been blasted miles and miles away from the king's castle by Merlok's explosive spell. And it seems all the books he was trying to steal have been scattered too. The Book of Monsters broke Jestro's fall, and now he can use the book to attack the people who laughed at him. Meanwhile, the king and his newly trained knights pick through the rubble of Merlok's library. They'll have to figure something out because Jestro and his newly made magic monsters attack King's castle. Clay organizes the knights to defend the kingdom. It takes all their training plus the help of an old friend, Merlok, only now he's Merlok 2.0. Ava has been piecing together what happened and discovering that the ghost in the machine she's been chasing is really Merlok in digital form. Now he can use his magic digitally, and he downloads just the right weapons to the struggling knights. They finally foil Jestro's attack with Merlok's help, and officially become Nexo Knights. In the other episode, now the Nexo Knights get rolling in the Fortrex, their own rolling castle. This great new headquarters, which houses Merlok 2.0 as an operating system, will be how the Knights move around Knightonia and protect it from Jestro and his monsters. Speaking of the evil jester, Jestro uses some newly made monsters to attack a town far from the capital, where he thinks he's safe from the Knights' reach. We see 2 parallel stories here, the Knights training, learning more about digital magic and getting organized as a team, and at the same time, we see Jestro making monsters, trying to learn how his powers work and talking to the book. In the end, the Knights roll up in their castle and defeat Jestro and his marauding monsters. In the next episode, Jestro finds the Book of Chaos in the countryside and decides he must feed it to the book. The Book of Monsters actually tells Jestro not to feed it to him. He tells Jestro he's not ready for that kind of power, but Jestro doesn't listen. Now the book unleashes chaotic monsters and Jestro uses them to attack the king and his party, who are on a business-related tour of the kingdom. When the Nexo Knights show up to stop the monster attacks and realize that they must save King and Queen Halbert, Macy's parents, from the chaotic evil monsters that have been unleashed. Clay asserts himself as leader and brings order to the Knights from the chaos. He has his own book, the Book of the Knights Code. They should all live by it. In the next episode, the Knights arrive in the town of Spittoon, where the villagers are unusually scared. After Clay saves a child from falling into a well, Merlok 2.0 reveals an evil book in the nearby dark woods that must be retrieved. Meanwhile, Jestro and the Book of Monsters release Whipperella, who can summon people's worst fears using her whips. As the Knights enter the dark woods, Whipperella captures them one by one, making them confront their fears. Clay faces failing to save a damsel in distress, Axel loses food to spider goblins, Lance is scorned by imagined fans, and Macy is humiliated in a princess dress. However, Aaron remains unaffected as he claims to have no fears. Whipperella's attempts to scare him fail, and he uses the Lion of Bravery power to free the other Knights. The Knights confront Whipperella and Jestro, who ends up trapped in his nightmare of being a mock jester. The monsters retreat with a shaken Jestro. Back in Spittoon, the villagers return to their grumpy selves. Clay worries about his failure, while Merlok humorously reveals Aaron's true fear, having nothing to do. The episode ends with Merlok emphasizing that even the bravest knights have fears. In the next episode, Lance agrees to star in a movie about a remake of a classic film in Knighton, The Golden Castle. While pillaging a village, Jestro and the Book of Monsters see a movie poster for the Golden Castle, and the book says the legendary Golden Castle is filled with riches. Jestro explains that it's just a dumb movie and that it's not real. The book, who's been shelved for many years, wants to eat the movie script to learn more about the modern world. On the set of the movie, Lance has invited the other knights to act as extras. When they see how Lance is being portrayed, they're incensed. When Jestro attacks the movie set to get the script for his book to eat, the film director keeps rolling. This battle footage is fantastic. The Knights defeat Jestro even though the movie set is trash. The director will make it work. At the premiere of the movie, Lance is embarrassed to see that he's been reduced to comic relief for the realm's bravest knight, Macy. The director has now made her a star. In the other episode, the Knights visit Diggington, Axel's hometown, where they are warmly welcomed by the townsfolk and Axel's family. Mama Axel tries to impress Axel's friends with fancy hospitality, but her efforts feel forced. Meanwhile, Merlok 2.0 alerts the Knights about the presence of the Book of Deception in a nearby maze. The Knights enter the maze, pursued by Jestro and his monsters. They face various challenges including false paths, illusions, and encounters with a maiden, Zoot, and a stone monster, Dingo. Axel correctly identifies Dingo as truthful, leading the Knights to the center of the maze. At the center, both teams reach the Book of Deception, but it creates illusions to protect itself. Jestro and Axel each grab what they think is the book, but Axel's copy turns out to be fake. The maze and its threats dissolve, revealing they were all illusions created by the book. The Knights regroup and return to Diggington. In Diggington, the townsfolk and Axel's family help the Knights stop Jestro and his monsters. The Knights use the Gauntlet of Truth Nexo power to defeat the villains. Jestro escapes but throws the Book of Deception behind him. The Knights believe they've captured the real book. Later, Axel assures his mother that being herself is enough, while the Knights enjoy Diggington's hospitality. However, at the Fortrex, Ava and Merlok discover the book is a fake. Realizing they've been tricked by Jestro and the real Book of Deception is still missing. In the other episode, following the events of the fight at the Maze of Amazement, Jestro and the Book of Monsters have escaped with the Book of Deception. The Book of Monsters tries to warn Jestro of its powers, but the Book of Deception multiplies before their eyes and fills the evil mobile with copies. After the Book of Monsters finishes his warning about said powers, Jestro is unable to find the real copy. He decides to feed the book all the copies. By the next morning, only one copy remains. The Book of Monsters eats it and becomes imbued with its deceptive powers. The pair head off to do some deceiving. In the next episode, in a dark, destroyed part of the kingdom, Jestro arrives at the ruins of a huge castle. The Book of Monsters knows this place, as the great evil wizard Monstrox lived here. The book sniffs out some powerful magic in the ruins, the Book of Destruction. With this, the book tells Jestro they can destroy the Nexo Knights and then attack the king's castle and cause massive destruction. Jestro creates destructive monsters and sends them all over the realm, so the Knights must separate and fight single combats all over the place. The Knights lose these battles and learn that they must work as a team, and just when the Knights are scattered across the kingdom, Jestro attacks the king's castle. It looks like all is lost, when Aaron, who has escaped, returns to see Jestro's attack. He realizes he must gather his fellow knights. Merlok says it's very dangerous, but Aaron says he must take the risk to gather the knights and save Knighton. In the Season 1 finale, Jestro, while still attacking the king's castle, has second thoughts until the Book of Monsters orders the Mad Jester to feed him another magic book. It's the powerful Book of Revenge. Now, combining the powers of revenge and destruction, Jestro and his monsters will get their vengeance on King Halbert and the kingdom of Knighton. Jestro and his monsters lay siege. Will they destroy the castle? Meanwhile, Aaron races across the kingdom gathering the Nexo Knights one at a time. As each knight rejoins the group, they become a more and more powerful team. They even get Robin to join them, as the Black Knight, in his repaired power suit. Our knights arrive, finally regroup, fight off Jestro, save the castle and the king. It's a glorious victory. The king is so pleased after seeing how the brave Nexo Knights saved his kingdom, he allows Macy to join them as an official Nexo Knight. In the first episode of Season 2, Robin sneaks out early to obtain a new Nexo power, but ends up with the Rooster of Awakening, which annoys the Nexo Knights by waking them up. After defeating lava monsters in a village attack, Merlok 2.0 informs the Knights that Jestro may be targeting a magic book at the Knights Academy library. The Knights are sent back to their old academy to protect the book and train the increasing number of recruits. At the academy, the Knights struggle with field training against students and are tasked with sorting through library books to locate the magic book. Robin, meanwhile, develops machinery to secure any found magic books. During another field training, the lava monsters attack the academy and Jestro infiltrates the library. With help from the trainees, the Knights thwart Jestro's attempt to steal the magic book, but he manages to take a snow globe from the librarian's desk. Merlok 2.0 reveals the snow globe was actually a monster castle sealed and miniaturized years ago. Jestro accidentally activates it by dropping it into a volcano, restoring the castle. Though the Knights failed to protect the artifact, they gained valuable lessons from the experience and the Academy's challenges. In the next episode, Jestro and the Book of Monsters celebrate their new castle in the Lava Lands and decide to loot the countryside, summoning General Magmar to guard the castle. They discovered the Book of Greed, which imbues lava monsters with insatiable greed, leading to a raid on Auramville, Lance's wealthy hometown. Meanwhile, the Nexo Knights attend Lance's parents' lavish gold is good ball. During the party, Jestro's monsters attack, stealing all the gold, including Lance's parents on their golden chairs. The Richmonds mistakenly believe they are being taken to a spa, remaining oblivious to their captivity. Lance initially shows more concern for his wealth than his parents, revealing past resentment over being denied his dream of becoming a celebrity. However, he agrees to rescue them. Using a tracking device planted by Robin, the Knights locate Jestro's castle in the Lava Lands. At the castle, the Richmonds' obliviousness and complaints frustrate Magmar and Jestro. The monsters' obsession with gold also causes chaos, prompting the Book of Monsters to suggest returning the loot. On their way back, Jestro's group is ambushed by the Knights in Sealing. After a battle, the Knights negotiate a truce, exchanging weatherproof sealant for the gold and the Richmonds. The Richmonds return home, still unaware they were hostages, and Lance awkwardly reconciles with his parents. Meanwhile, Jestro mourns the loss of his treasure, but the Book of Monsters reassures him that the real chaos will come once all the evil books are found. In the other episode, King Halbert instructs the Knights that they must take his valuable Ned Knights comic book to a Knightathon in Buckingham. It will be first prize at the Knighticon, but the Book of Monsters wants the book too. Having devoured Ned Knightley comic books in its own downtime, it has become fanatically obsessed with the storyline. General Magmar suggests they simply attack the place and take what they need, but Jestro tells them they can't. Everyone will be in costume and there'll be thousands of comics there. This calls for a clever infiltration mission, which will also allow Jestro to see the con, which he's always wanted to do. So Jestro goes into the con with the BOM and some monsters, and it's easy because everyone is in costume. Jestro, the BOM, and their monsters fit right in at the convention, and Clay and crew have their work cut out for them trying to separate fiend from fan. In the next episode, it's the King's birthday. To celebrate, the Queen and Macy always throw him a great big birthday party consisting of a feast on birthday eve and a tournament the next day. At the birthday banquet is Jorah Tightwad. He's goading the king and going on and on about how his knights are better than the Nexo Knights. The next day, the Nexo Knights square off against Tightwad's knights. Tightwad makes fun of the Nexo Knights as his knights do well. Jestro and the Book of Monsters discover that Tightwad has the Book of Envy, and he and his monsters attack the tournament. Then we learn that Tightwad's knights might be good tournament fighters, but they can't handle real fights, and the Nexo Knights must save them. The Nexo Knights successfully defend the king, but Jestro gets away with the Book of Envy. In the next episode, Knighton celebrity chef Gobbleton Rambley announces that he's developed the hottest chili recipe ever created. Now he intends to give the recipe to the winner of his hottest chili cook-off competition cooking show on Knighton TV. He'll turn over his famous chili cookbook with the hottest chili recipe on the last page. It's so unique it can't be recreated without it. Jestro and the Book of Monsters think they must have that recipe. Hot chili makes hot monsters. Merlok knows that this recipe in the wrong hands, meaning Jestro's, could be dangerous. But when the Knights appeal to the egomaniacal chef, he says the only way to get the recipe is to win it from him. So Axel and Chef Eclair decide to enter. The team that creates the hottest chili will win Rambley's cookbook. Chef Eclair is unsure that Axel has the skills to help him win the competition, but as we see through funny cooking show bits, Axel is quite good and they become a pretty good team. In the other episode, Clay needs a vacation. Or actually, the Knights need a vacation from Clay. Clay is so super focused that sometimes they just can't take it. Training, maintenance, the Knights code test them, more training. Even Merlok 2.0 is exhausted, and he has no physical form. So the Knights send Clay off on a holiday against his will, arranged by Lance, because if there's one thing he can do, it's plan a vacation. But unbeknownst to the other Knights, Jestro and the Book of Monsters are tracking an evil book. A book that they suspect is located near the resort, Exalted Towers, renowned for its exquisite service, where Clay is staying. It's the Book of Cruelty, and Clay notices that it's affecting the high-class resort where Lance has booked him. The service is terrible, the staff is nasty, and everyone seems to take joy in being cruel to him, and to each other. In the next episode, the Nexo Knights accompany King and Queen Halbert to Cleanington for their royal banquet with Mayor Kaufmeyer. Macy is frustrated by her royal duties, but reluctantly participates. Meanwhile, Jestro and the Book of Monsters visit Snottingham, where the book eats a dish that allows him to create sick monsters to infect the Knights. During the banquet, the Knights are alerted to an attack in Snottingham. They battle Jestro's monsters, which sneeze on them, spreading a mysterious illness. Although they drive the monsters away, the Knights become sick with the Nottingham cold, experiencing bizarre symptoms. Ava upgrades Merlok 2.0's antivirus to prevent the illness from spreading to their system. Jestro uses the Knights' weakened state to launch a surprise attack on Cleanington, capturing the King and Queen. Despite their illness, the Knights attempt to fight back but struggle. Ava sends a new Nexo power, Serpent of Antivirus, which cures their colds and clears their shields. The Knights rescue the royal couple and defeat the retreating monsters. Mayor Roger thanks the Knights, but the villagers catch the Nottingham cold from them. Back at the Fortrex, the Knights clean up while Lance avoids work, opting to get his hair done instead. In the other episode, Jestro and his monsters are in attack formation, moving to pillage the town of Funnyton. But when they arrive, ready to tear into the place, they see that nobody's in town. Then they hear laughter? The entire town is there listening to a stand-up comic Jokes Nightly. He's hilarious. He commands such power, such attention, and such loyalty. Jestro and the BOM decide they must become funny. They order all kinds of books on comedy from Spamazon, books on parody, irony, insult humor, slapstick, satire, knock-knock jokes, elephant jokes, my monster is so fat jokes, etc. They work up a ventriloquist act with the BOM sitting on Jestro's lap. They start doing their act and surprisingly, they're funny. They're very funny. The Fortrex arrives and the Knights rush out, ready for battle. They fight through a string of monsters just outside the town, but discover they're only working as bouncers to keep too many people out of the comedy club. In the other episode, we finally reveal that Jestro has given the Book of Betrayal to Clay. He tells Clay what it is and how Mike Knight used it, and it seems that the Book of Monsters believed it to be the final ingredient in some master plan. Suddenly, they realize monsters are after them. Clay retreats with Jestro in the Book of Betrayal to rendezvous with the other Knights at the Fortrex. The Fortrex isn't fast enough, they'll need their own vehicles. They decide that they need to split up and go in multiple directions to make the monsters expend their resources on a chase. It's a huge chase being covered like a crazy news event by the Knighton News Network. We see a montage of the monsters stopping and capturing all the Knights' vehicles. However, as they do, they realize that the Knights have used Squire bots and Jestro fan jester hats as decoys. They think Axel has the Book of Betrayal in his brick containment unit, but it turns out to be the Ned Knightley comic. In the Season 2 finale, the Redoubt of Ruination readies the final ceremony to call forth Monstrox, the arch-necromancer of the past. Clay, holding the Book of Betrayal, walks to the gates of the spooky place. Inside, Clay hears strange singing and music. It's like a twisted Broadway show of some kind. Meanwhile, the Knights all realize Clay is gone, and so is the Book of Betrayal. Macy says Clay must be up to something. They have to trust him, and more importantly, they have to find him. At the Redoubt of Ruination, the ceremony has already begun. The Book of Monsters wants the final ceremony that calls forth Monstrox to be like a really great show. The BOM then barfs up all the books of evil into their places around Jestro. He's just missing the Book of Betrayal, which Clay has. In the first episode of Season 3, it kicks off with a new and formidable threat to the Kingdom of Knighton. Jestro, now more cunning and dangerous than ever, teams up with the Book of Monsters once again. However, this time they harness the power of a mysterious evil tech force called the Cloud of Monstrox, a digital storm capable of corrupting technology and unleashing chaos on a massive scale. As the cloud begins spreading its influence across Knighton, the Nexo Knights find themselves facing their greatest challenge yet. Merlok 2.0, their digital wizard and key ally, becomes vulnerable to the cloud's corrupting power, which threatens to disrupt their Nexo powers. This leaves the Knights scrambling to find a way to stop the cloud before it consumes the entire kingdom. Meanwhile, the Knights must also contend with Jestro's new army of stone monsters, created by the cloud's dark energy. The team, Clay, Macy, Lance, Axel, and Aaron, work together to develop new strategies, relying not just on their Nexo powers, but also their wits, courage, and teamwork to outsmart their enemies. In the other episode, the Cloud of Monstrox and Jestro unleash a mysterious forbidden power, one that is both dark and dangerous. With this newfound power, they begin to wreak havoc across the land, corrupting everything in their path. The balance of the kingdom is threatened as monstrous creatures emerge from the shadows, and chaos spreads faster than ever before. In response to this threat, Merlok 2.0 and the Nexo Knights band together to find a way to counter the destruction. They discover a way to combine their Nexo powers into a new, more potent form known as the Combo Nexo powers. However, the challenge is immense, as they must master this new ability before the forces of darkness grow too strong. The fate of the kingdom rests on the shoulders of the Nexo Knights as they prepare for the most difficult battle of their lives, determined to stop Monstrox and Jestro's reign of terror. In the next episode, Jestro and Monstrox team up with the mysterious Sculptor, who uses his powers to bring an army of enchanted garden gnomes to life, unleashing chaos across Knighton. These tiny yet fierce creatures prove to be a formidable threat, forcing the Nexo Knights to rely on their new combo Nexo powers to fight back. As they battle this unusual enemy, the Knights must also uncover the Sculptor's secrets and find a way to stop the growing menace before it's too late. The fate of Knighton hangs in the balance as the Knights face one of their most bizarre and challenging foes yet. In the next episode, the Nexo Knights find themselves in a dire situation when their powerful shields are stolen by Robot Hoodlum and his merry mechs. Stripped of their main source of strength, they must navigate the challenges of a mysterious and hostile force awakening in the Petrified Forest. As the forest stirs with ancient and vengeful energy, the Knights face an uphill battle, relying on their wits, courage, and teamwork to overcome the dangers. With every step, the stakes grow higher, and the fate of the kingdom hangs in the balance as they struggle to adapt and reclaim their stolen shields. In the other episode, Axel receives a disturbing message from his home region, the Hill Country, where people are mysteriously disappearing. Investigating, the Nexo Knights discover that Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox are unearthing the legendary Three Brothers statues, buried after an ancient battle. The statues, representing three quarrelsome brothers of different sizes, are being excavated by enslaved villagers under the sculptor's command. However, the largest statue's body is damaged during excavation, prompting Jestro to repurpose its head into a massive ramming vehicle. As the Knights confront this new threat, they use their battle suits to infiltrate the mountain. Inside, they cannot use combo Nexo powers, but the Cloud also cannot recharge the monsters. The Knights freeze the enemies with regular powers while the Cloud tries to intervene, only to be absorbed by the mountain, reducing him to a tiny hamster-voiced mist. Jestro rescues him using the empty Book of Monsters, temporarily bringing back the book's former form. In the end, the Knights freeze the remaining monsters and free the villagers. In the finale of Season 3, the Cloud of Monstrox is growing more and more powerful with every forbidden power Jestro inserts. The Nexo Knights try to deal with the armies of the Cloud, but in the end, the Cloud succeeds in absorbing all the energy and reaching its most powerful form. The Cloud even destroys Merlok's hologram. All the Nexo Knights are saddened by this. Aaron responds by diving into the Cloud and fighting back. Aaron successfully destroys the Cloud and Monstrox returns to the book. He withdraws all his armies, but just as Aaron is about to fall, Macy saves him and the kingdom is saved. Even though the Merlok hologram is gone, he still lives somewhere. Monstrox embarks on new plans with Jestro. In the first episode of Season 4, Clay is turned to stone and everyone is gloomy, especially King Halbert. Aaron organizes a party to cheer everyone up. The king wants a reenactment of Clay's heroic rescue of the queen. The Knights get a remote control for Clay's battlesuit to perform as Clay. Lance quickly gets into the role of the uptight Knight of Knights. Ava is working on reinstalling Merlok 2.0 into the Fortrex. She is also preparing for a visit from the new Knights Academy novices. It is a field trip with Principal Brickland and Sir Griffiths with the goal of teaching the kids about new high-tech battle strategies. It quickly turns into a trip back memory lane for the two. This is an excellent moment for Jestro to cheer up at the defeated Monstrox. Unfortunately for Jestro, Ava is able to make Merlok 2.0 functional, and the novices defeat Jestro and his monsters using the Nexo power, Wedgie of Doom. Apparently, this is just what the doctor ordered for Monstrox, a good laugh at someone else's expense. In the next episode, the Cloud of Monstrox and Jestro are able to unlock the Forbidden Power's shocking scare, and unleash an attack on the village of Bravington. Knights in their new vehicles rush to the rescue and are able to defeat him with the new combo power. In the heat of the battle, the Cloud of Monstrox sees the stone statue of Clay and zaps him to life. Clay is now turned and is fighting against his friends. It is impossible for them to defeat him without destroying him for good. The Cloud urges Clay on. He attacks the Fortrex in order to get to Merlok. Robin in his Black Knight mech is trying to stop him, but to no avail. Merlok 2.0 is left undefended. At the very last moment, Merlok 2.0 unleashes a blasting spell that sends Clay far, far away. In the other episode, Clay, as the Grey Knight, wakes up far away in a place called Nothing Hill, a poor town where they literally have nothing. They harvest dust. Your Tightwad, though, has found that there is gold underneath the town. He convinces the confused Clay to help him put pressure on the poor townsfolk to give up their lots. This is an easy job for the strong Grey Knight. The Nexo Knights finally track him down and tries to convince him about who he is. But to the Grey Knight, they're still his enemies, and a giant battle ensues in order to subdue the Grey Knight. At last, only Macy is left. When she begins to recite the Knight's code, some words and their meaning are able to get through the stone-hard shell of the Grey Knight, and the evil that clouded him seems to disappear. Together, they're able to return the ownership of the town to the villagers. In the other episode, since the cloud of Monstrox and Jestro are unaware of Clay's situation, the Nexo Knights decide to let him go undercover and infiltrate the Stone Stompers. Clay gets the help of Jack Shields, who is His Majesty's secret agent specialist in infiltration and espionage. Clay trains in how to remain silent and unnoticed, a challenge for a man in armor plates. Robin is intrigued by all the cool agent gadgets and follows Clay from a distance. Clay convinces Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox that he is still evil. Jestro spills their scheme of using the forbidden powers to unlock the Stone Colossus. They find Robin spying outside their camp. Clay lets him go and his cover is blown. He gets captured by General Garg. Luckily, the Nexo Knights have been following, ready to intercept. They free Clay and fight the Stone Stompers. In that fight, Clay goes berserk, and the Knights are shocked by his behavior. When he fights Ruina, something holds him back. We're left wondering how that can be. In the other episode, the Grey Knight ambushes Jestro's monsters and destroys them. His mission? Seek vengeance for the good of the kingdom. Meanwhile, Jestro and the Cloud need more minions. They find the forbidden power of devious demolition. Arnoldi chisels faces onto rocks, and the Cloud of Monstrox brings them to life with his evil lightning. Now, Jestro has a quick, makeshift army. Clay is nowhere to be found. Forced to deal with Jestro's army, the Knights come across the Big Rakowski, a legendary demolition expert. He's been living peacefully in a little valley with his pet rabbit, Bunny. He's not sure he wants to help until Bunny's entire family show up at his rocky plateau in the Alps. Jestro has destroyed their forest. Rakowski agrees to help and they defeat Jestro's army. The Nexo Knights keep their promise and help replant the forest for Bunny. Meanwhile, Clay is changed. He's now the avenging Grey Knight, and he will make his enemies pay. In the next episode, Yor Tightwad is digging up a large portion of his property near his castle to build a vault for his money. What the Tidy Knighties, who Yora employed to dig this vault, find as they dig is a whole bunch of stone warrior statues. There's even a statue of their leader, General Krakenskull. Tightwad decides to sell them to Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox, who he's heard need an army. Yora gets gold and the Cloud brings the Stone Warriors and Krakenskull to life. They promptly steal back the money Jestro paid Yora and make off with all the other money in Tightwad's vault. Jestro and the Cloud use Krakenskull and his warriors to track down the forbidden power of Kraken Quake. They then use this power to attack the Nexo Knights. The Knights are almost overwhelmed until Clay returns. He saves the Nexo Knights. During Clay's attack, Ruina Stoneheart gives him Monstrox's charm bracelet. It seems to make Clay even stronger. She's tempting him to join their side. In the next episode, Clay pledges to King and Queen Halbert to save their kingdom. As he goes off on his quest to destroy Jestro, the Nexo Knights try to stop him. Clay just isn't being Clay. Meanwhile, Jestro and the Cloud of Monstrox track down 3 more forbidden powers. They need 1 more FP to bring the Colossus of Ultimate Destruction to life. Clay goes after Jestro's monsters with a cold vengeance. Not even the Cloud can stop the Grey Knight with his lightning. Suddenly, Ruina Stoneheart leaps in to defend Jestro. "I know how to stop you, boy," says Ruina, "because I'm your mother." The shocked Clay is blasted back. The Nexo Knights drag him away. Clay is stunned, hurt, and angry. So angry he says he can't be trusted. He insists the Nexo Knights to contain him. They take him to the fortress and put him in a magical containment field, but he escapes. He attacks Macy, provoking her to call down a Nexo power. She turns him to stone again. Macy looks at Clay's statue and she's devastated. In the other episode, Clay is locked in the command center as a statue. Merlok uses a powerful spell to reverse the stone in Clay's body. Clay becomes human again. Macy comes and begs forgiveness as Clay says it's not her fault. It's Merlok's fault. Merlok finally must explain Clay's past. Merlok tells him Ruina is his mother. Her real name is Morgana, and she is Merlok's sister. She turned evil, and Merlok took Clay away to protect the boy. Merlok then turned Ruina into a statue. She was unearthed in Morgana's garden by Jestro's minions. But no time to lose. The final forbidden power is in play, and it's the most powerful one yet. Awesome Annihilation. They find it near the town of Strongheim. Jestro locks the last forbidden power into the standing stones at Mount Thunderstrox. The Standing Stone Crown powers to life, and the giant Colossus of Ultimate Destruction rises. The Cloud of Monstrox goes into the Colossus, imbuing it with power. The Colossus now has the evil face of Monstrox. In the next episode, the Colossus marches across the land, destroying all in its path. The Nexo Knights don't know how to stop it. In the meantime, Merlok dispatches Robin to Merlok's tower in the capital to complete his secret project. Clay is off somewhere finding himself. He's confronted by Morgana, his mother. "Why fight Monstrox?" she asks him. "Join them." Clay thinks on this. Meanwhile, the Knights try to battle the seemingly unstoppable Colossus Monstrox as it marches towards Knightonia. Just then, Clay returns. He will lead the Knights against this threat. They're his family. With Clay at the lead, the Knights scale the Colossus in battlesuits, trying to reach the head. Ava and Merlok have determined that they must destroy the forbidden powers in the Colossus's crown. In the series finale, the Monstrox Colossus attacks the city. The entire city is turned out for defense as Robin continues his secret project in Merlok's tower at the castle. The King and Queen and Brickland and Sir Griffiths are seeing into the city's defenses, all being coordinated by Clay from the Fortrex. As Jestro and Morgana with a horde of monsters arrive just in time to see the Colossal crush the Fortrex, it smashes it to bits. They finally find out what Robin is working on, turning Merlok's tower into a rocket to fight the Colossus. Clay says they must launch the rocket tower as their last hope. But before they launch, they get a call from Ava. She's got another passenger for them. Merlok steps out of the battered Fortrex in Robin's old mech and is now Mechlok. He can now directly use his powerful spells in battle. Finally, the rocket tower launches and the Nexo Knights in battle suits attack with Mechlok and battle to bring the Colossus down. General Garg freaked out after seeing Clay and electrocuted him, but Clay impressively survived. Axel immediately counterattacked and took down their vehicle, and Clay wanted to combine their combo powers. With the combo Nexus powers, the Nexo Knights reached their full power and started to destroy Colossus with Merlok's spell. Then, even though the Nexo Knights fled, Clay stayed there and said he would deliver the final devastating blow. Clay pulled the vehicle with his powers and made a move on the Colossus's leg, destroying it. And in this way, the kingdom was saved once again, but Clay was still sad during the celebrations because there was no sign of his mother. Meanwhile, General Garg seemed to have other plans. That's how we came to the end of the epic Nexo Knights story, which could have continued but was cancelled and Season 5 never came. You can write in the comments what your thoughts are for the series. See you in the next videos. Bye!